Bonjour les amis. Welcome back to Generate Her. As always, I hope this finds you well. We're just approaching April, and I spent a lot of time talking about how March is a very special month for me. And then I realized April is too. And the reality is all months are important because either you mark dates or dates mark you. And this April is special because it's the 1-year anniversary since my memoir, The French Ingredient, was published. And I realize I don't talk about that much. And that's a really important part of my journey that I wanted to share with you and maybe give you a few insights, not just about my book, but about the things that's meant to me that I think might resonate for you. Welcome to Generate Her. I'm Jane Bertch. I spent the first half of my life working in a corporate organization, and then I decided to trade that all in to become an entrepreneur. Yes, here in your favorite city of Paris, France. And today, I hope I'm a guide on your journey to personal reinvention and transformation. So I want to share with you some of the special moments about the French Ingredient that could give you insights to perhaps yourself. And let me start with the power of the universe. And whether or not you feel comfortable with that suggestion that there's something bigger than us, I do believe in it. And I want to tell you that it was the universe that brought the French Ingredient to me, like it brought to me La Cuisine. It wasn't something I always intended, and I can tell you it certainly didn't turn out in the form that I had intended, but I remained open. I remained open to see what it needed to be, which was a bit larger than myself. So I did always have the idea of writing a book, but for me, it would have been more of a technical book of how to navigate business in France. And as I started to play with that in my mind, I had some really wonderfully generous people that said, that's a great idea that your mother will buy because she wants to support her daughter, and your friend that feels bad for you. But other than that, a book that's so niche about doing business in France may be difficult to publish traditionally. And so I sat with that. And then I approached a friend that's a writer, and I started to think, maybe the story here is my experience in France. And I approached a good friend and I told her that I was thinking about it. And the first thing she said was, Jane, you'll never do that. You're too private. Wow. And you know what? She was absolutely right. So I shelved it and I thought, a memoir's too much. That's going too far into my private life, which I do feel that I need to maintain just to protect myself, because I do have a very outward-facing business, an outward-facing role, and I feel that I have the right to reserve a few private elements for me. And then COVID hit. And I tell you, I had a lot of time on my hands and a lot of anxiety. And I started writing. I started writing because I didn't know what else to do. And it's not because I considered myself a writer. Frankly, now I realize we are all writers. We are all writers. Whether or not we publish something for others to read is a different story, but you are a writer if you're listening to this. So I started playing around with writing, and I would write a bit and then come back to it, and I'd reread it and I'd think, oh my goodness, have I been to a school or not? There's no verb in this sentence. This doesn't make any sense. And I contacted another friend to say, I want to write and I'm not happy with my work. Is there somebody who's a writing coach that could help me? And after a couple of trial and errors and connections with people that didn't have time or weren't interested, I fell upon a wonderful lady by the name of Jenna. And I kind of played around with my idea with her and how she would help me just craft my thoughts onto paper in a way that when I went back and read them, I felt good about the quality of my work. And probably after our third email exchange and me telling her I was going to write about my experience moving to Paris and starting a business, she emailed and said, "What is the business? I'm curious. You haven't said." And I said, "Oh, well, we're a cooking school. I started a cooking school here in Paris called La Cuisine." And her next email back to me was, "I've been there 3 times. I can't believe it. I didn't know that you were behind it." So the universe led me to starting to put these words on a paper, and it led me to this wonderful woman to help me craft them and help me go through and understand how to explain things, how to tell a story. So writing for me was a form of therapy. Again, you have to imagine that a lot of this took place during COVID when we didn't have much else to do. We were on strict confinement. Life was uncertain. And I started to realize in putting my paper, and I started to realize in putting my story to paper, I was reminding myself of what I've overcome. And you can read that in the pages of The French Ingredient. It's a story of ups and downs and all the obstacles and all the failures. But as you know, I don't believe in failures. I think those are just information to use in your next endeavors. So I worked my way through the past of where I've been, even in the toughest of times. And it reminded me that even through the most difficult moments, you will come through them. You can come through them. And you use these elements you have around you to support that. So in writing The French Ingredient, it was my form of therapy for myself. And I've later come to realize, and I'll talk about this in the end, that when you share your story and you authentically share it, the difficulties, the trials, the heartbreaks, the tears, the small wins, the moving forward every day, you might just inspire somebody else that's in a difficult moment. So I hope my memoir is a reminder that anyone can do anything. And if this gal from Chicago can move to Paris, not speak French perfectly, not have a background in culinary, and still make a go of it, then anyone can. So while it's a memoir about my experiences, it's not the business book it intended to be. It was the self-help book that I wanted to write. I also wanted to highlight how your difficulties can sometimes be a part of the better version of you in the future. In the first part of the book, I talk a lot about my experience moving here and the role that I was in. I wasn't an entrepreneur. I was working for a bank. And I had a tough time getting adjusted, that's for sure. And in between the lines of that book, you may read that the manager I had when I first moved here was incredibly difficult. He was. He was demanding and precise, meticulous. And I thank him for that every day. I thank him for instilling in me the importance of rigor. I thank him for instilling in me the importance of client relationships, of a strong humility. And frankly, despite all of the difficulties I had, I thank him that I'm here today. If it weren't for him, there would have been no Paris story. There would have been no La Cuisine. There would have been no me sitting here with you. So I am forever grateful for the time I spent with him. So I hope that's a reminder that even those very difficult situations can turn out for the best. And because of me needing to be strong and bolster myself for that world, it prepared me for my next world, which was eventually starting my business, La Cuisine. I also want you to know I wrote the French ingredient because I want us to remind ourselves that our differences are what make us beautiful, and our differences are what make us wonderful. And rather than shy away from them and feel bad about them, no, I will never speak French with a perfect accent. No, I will never understand all the cultural codes in France, but that's okay. Because of those differences, I've actually had an easier ride. Because perhaps I'm Jane the American, I can approach somebody in a way that a French person wouldn't dare. Perhaps I can knock on a door because I'm not knowing that I need to be introduced by somebody. Perhaps I can ask things a bit directer because I don't have the cultural nuances that somebody would have if they were French. So rather than spend all my time feeling insecure and apprehensive about how to do things, I realized, you know what? This is my secret sauce. This is why I will find a way, because I'll do it my way. And because I'm different, people will accept that. So I hope in reading the French ingredient, people take away that your differences are your strengths. I also wanted to share, and I've come to learn this in hindsight. As I said, I never really had the intention of writing La Cuisine as it is that you may read it today. But when I finally quit fighting against the universe and the messages I was receiving about the book that I needed to read, and the messages I was receiving about the book that I needed to write, it finally started to take form. And while I still remain a very private person, and I always will, I wanted to share what I thought was important for people to see. That it hasn't been easy. There will continue to be challenges. There will continue to be dark moments. There'll continue to be insecurities. There'll continue to be fears. But despite those, we can find a way if we keep putting one foot in front of the other. And I realized if I was willing to open my heart and share my story with all of the problems, with all of the challenges, perhaps somebody out there might read it and the light that I'm shining outwards will fall upon them. And maybe that just might give them courage to think, if she can do that, I can do what my dream is. I can follow my dream. She didn't have the answers. She didn't know what she was doing. And my gosh, if Jane can do it, I'm going to give it a try. So I encourage you, and I learned this. If you share your beautiful, unique story, your gift, you will help someone else. You will shine a light on them. So that's why I continued on and published The French Ingredient. And I can tell you, in my letting myself be vulnerable, that book has paid me back tenfold. I have met the most amazing people. And I say met in all senses of the word, on book tour and emails, on Instagram messaging. So when you do share your story, you create a community around shared values. And I'm so grateful for that. Every once in a while, I'll get a note from somebody that will tell me The French Ingredient really inspired them. And what they read in those pages inspired. And while that is just so wonderful to hear, I remind each and every one of them the beautiful quote that books are mirrors. A book is nothing but a mirror. So whatever you read in those pages, if it should inspire you or motivate you, it's just a mirror of what you are waiting to do. It's just a little reflection and a reminder of who you are. What you see and what you're inspired by is a reflection of you and all the potential that lies in you. Someone else can read those same pages and never see the same thing that you do. So if you read it and you were inspired or motivated, you're just looking in the mirror. So for all that, I'm so honored. I'm so honored to have shared The French Ingredient with the world. I wanted it to be multi-layered, like we all are. We're not one-dimensional. So if somebody wanted a fun Paris read, hopefully they see that. If somebody wanted to know how to shop at a fromagère or in the market and learn about French culture, I hope they'll see that. But if in particular, there's someone out there that needed to be reminded that they can and be anything they want, particularly when they read the line that I have in there, when you are nothing, that leaves you the chance to be anything. I certainly hope they take that away. So friends, I wanted to share that with you. If you don't have your copy and this intrigues you to get one, I hope you do. I hope it helps you to see Paris in a new way and French culture in a new way and entrepreneurialism in a new way. I hope that speaks to you, but mostly I hope it reminds you of the beautiful story that you have to share. Even if it's just for yourself, as a reminder of this wonderful person that you are and all that you've overcome to get here today. So, friends, that's it. Wish me a happy 1-year anniversary for the French ingredient. Who knows what's on the horizon? But as you know, I'm leaving it to the universe to let me know. And I hope you do too. Wishing you a wonderful day. Don't forget the power of writing. If you need help, I do have prompts on my website. You can find that at janebertch.com/journal. And if you really want a bit of magic, come and join me here in Paris. You may know that I've started a series of retreats for women where we're talking about all those things, bringing magic back into our lives. So until next time, à bientôt, mes amis.